I think homeless is a very confining term. The way it started for me was with a man named Ben Green. He panhandled near my home on Mount Washington for about 2.5 years. And I finally one day was like, I should ask him why he's still here. I had seen him kind of move all around the East End, the West End Bridge, Liberty Bridge. And so one day I did, I stopped to talk to him. He said he didn't want anything. And I said, that's cool, because I really don't have a lot to give you. But we texted for a little bit. About 3 months goes by, and all of a sudden I don't hear from him anymore. I don't see him panning. It's December. I figured he either died or he was incarcerated. Towards the end of March, beginning of April, all of a sudden, I have contact from somebody saying, hey, my stepbrother in Ithaca, New York, thinks I would be good to get disability. Do you do that? So my first question was, who is this? It's quite a random question to get. And he told me it was me, Ben. And I was like, holy shit, he didn't lose my number. And I, in that moment, instructed him through text message to go to community partner Just Harvest. Now, Allegheny County Just Harvest is an organization that works with food insecurity in underserved populations, primarily focusing on childhood nutrition and food deserts.
She's loving it.
Yeah. I called their director and I said, I'm sending in this guy. I don't know if he's going to show up. I don't know what state he's in. I haven't seen him in months. But he tells me he wants disability, and if we're going to get him disability, he needs medical assistance. And if we're going to go ahead and file for medical assistance, we're also going to file for food stamps. So about 5 hours goes by, and I don't hear anything from anybody. It's about 6:30 in the evening, and I call my contact with Just Harvest at home, and I'm like, dude, what happened? He's like, oh, he came in. He sat with us for about 3 hours. We did his screening for benefits. He walked to the county assistant's office, got his EB card, and came back to show it to us. So I instantly messaged Ben, and I'm like, dude, you didn't tell me you did all this. And his answer was very simple, you didn't tell me to tell you. And I realized right then I had to be very clear about what I was saying. And I also understood in that moment that there was a high expectation that for him to follow through with what I was telling him to do had to work. So over the next days, we met every day, and sometimes twice a day, just to have a cup of coffee. The very first time that we sat down to talk, where we weren't, he wasn't flying a sign, we're just sitting and talking, I'm like, you want help with this housing thing, right? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay. You want help with heroin then? Because that's obviously the issue here. He's like, no. I'm like, well, what do you want? And he looked at me, and maybe took him about a minute. He says, I want to live in my tent in the woods, I want to recreationally do heroin, and I want the government to pay me for it. And without missing a beat, I just looked at him and I said, I don't know how much that I can help you with, but I'm going to give it my best. And my best was in 3 months, Ben Green had seen a primary care physician 15 times, had self-aligned with methadone at Alliance Medical Center, had seen a dentist 3 times, 1 emergency extraction, a prophylactic visit, and a cleaning. I didn't know that was odd. I had, in my head, if you have health insurance, you use it, right? You get the services you want out of it, right? And if something doesn't work, then you figure out how to make it work. It was interesting. He never once approached me and said anything along the lines of like, this is really weird, I can't believe I'm doing all this, but here's this schizophrenic actively using intravenous drugs. He's a little bit of a dumpster diver, do whatever you put in front of him. And he just kept showing up, and I'm like, why? Like, I wasn't, in my mind, doing anything profound for him, but for him it was. And the one thing you'll notice that I didn't say in that, he didn't go indoors. He never once asked for housing. He really did just want to live in his tent and live his life. He just wanted to do it a little different. So he wasn't homeless, so why would I say that he was? August 1st of 2016, Allegheny County did a forcible eviction of about 23 residents along the South Side Trail. It's a big tourist spot. It made the news, you might have seen it. When that happened, all of those people were told to go other places. Instructed, as a matter of fact. The morning of the first, Ben Green called me. He was frantic. I could barely understand him. And he says, they're here, they're everywhere, and they have their stuff, and they say they're not leaving. They even brought weapons. In my head, I thought maybe Ben Green had finally snapped. I said, let's meet. And so we went to our local spot. I had never seen him this way. He was so agitated, he was pacing. His gesticulations were very aggressive. He couldn't look at me. He would just look down and look up, and it was hollow, this anger. He's like, I have to get rid of them. And he looks at me and he says, Aubrey, you get rid of them. I was like, dude, I don't kill people. And I wasn't kidding, because like that was the tone in his voice. And he looked at me and he said, no, do to them what you did to me. I thought to myself, I have to be very careful here. I don't know what he thinks I did to him. So I asked him, what did I do to you, Ben? He said, you made me get help. Make them do it too. Get them gone. And one by one, every one of those people that was relocated came to see me. And that's how I sit in front of you today. Well over 386 people are formally rostered with me amongst all the counties, primarily in Allegheny. In 12 months, I've interfaced with probably close to 900. I did 15,000 text messages last month on my phone alone. And we have 2 phones between the 2 of us at PSBG. I get on average of 40 phone calls a day. It's amazing. It's all because I help people get help. I've made it my mission to learn what the rules are for people. Yeah. Say hi. The main reason for that, if we understand what is being asked, then we can also figure out how to work around it. So I'm not gonna let a housing program tell somebody who doesn't want to stop smoking crack that the only way they get their walls is if they stop smoking crack. But inversely, I also have people who want to live in their tent, but they don't want to smoke crack. And you know what? Those are the hardest people to serve, because our system is not set up for somebody who isn't fitting a cookie cutter place in how the system thinks you should be. You want to hold her? I see you make a face.
No.
You sure? She doesn't bite. Well, she's had her shots at least, so she does. So, you know, when I was thinking about coming and talking to you, I was thinking about the idea that so much of what I've done is only because it happened to me. People put themselves in front of me and told me what they wanted because I asked and I really listened. I think that's the biggest thing that most of the services miss, most of our organizations. I don't have a demographic. I've had an old woman in a high-rise call me and say, I can't get my light bulb changed. The maintenance guy hasn't come. Can you help me? Yes, I can. It took me 2 phone calls. And she called me and she was ecstatic. Like, it escaped me that she couldn't find someone that she knew to intervene and just get it done. So often, I think we carry around this, I don't want to get dirty. It's not my business. How many times do you drive past someone on the side of the road and you think to yourself, I wonder if they need help? Well, I've made it my job, my mission, to never walk past someone. Every night people show up to me just to talk to me and have coffee. Very rarely do I have somebody come back and tell me how great things are. But I always know when things aren't well. And that's because they know I'm gonna listen. They know I'm gonna listen. When we think about recovery, and we think about housing, and we think about physical medicine, we think about what the system has told us we have to have it be. My guys will tell you that I'll give them a high five when they tell me, I smoked some crack, but I didn't shoot dope. That's fucking great. I'm happy with that. But in the inverse, I might have somebody say, I don't feel so good that I didn't shoot dope and I smoked crack. Because I realized for them, that wasn't a win. I want to meet people where they are. So if you're proud of yourself for something, I'm proud of you too. I'm also going to look you in the eye and tell you that was fucking stupid. Because maybe it was. But again, that's me and what I think of it. I'm not here to tell anybody how to live their life. You know, one of the biggest pieces of dealing with a population that is so unstable is mental health. I have filed 4 302s, and they were all upheld. And that's a very dicey arena, right? I'm probably gonna lose a lot of credibility, you would think. Every one of those people, after their hearing, has asked to see me. Every one of those people is still my client. And I didn't take lightly the idea of evaluating their mental health as an untrained professional and saying, I have to do something about them. The honest truth is, my guys tell me all the time they want to kill themselves. What I don't hear all the time is when they want to hurt somebody else. And that's where, to me, it's even more dangerous. You know, I can't stop somebody from killing themselves, but I can say, you know I'm here. And if you call me, I'm gonna talk to you about every single thing I think I can do to help you. And unless somebody's in a really major psychosis, what the fuck is a 302 gonna do? It doesn't take it away. So maybe, you know, something happened, like somebody died. Well, that sucks. That was one of your only natural supports. Maybe it was your only natural support. But that was 4 months ago, and you're still here now. And I know shit keeps getting worse, but maybe we should work on something towards a different avenue. Like, how about art? I get people oriented with librarians that will run special programs. I get people oriented back to religious orientation if they believe in a God, any God. I mean, it's amazing. I had somebody in an ICU once ask for some spiritual guidance. So we called a hospital chaplain. I think the person who comes is a Catholic, and they're like, that was a little too over the top. And I was like, what would you like? He's like, well, can you find me a rabbi? So I called up Rosh Shalom, and I was like, hey, I got a guy in the hospital who's asking for a rabbi. Can you send one? They were like, sure. Then he's like, can you send somebody a little not so godly? I'm like, what the fuck do you want from me, right? And really, he just wanted me to come and sit and talk to him. But nonetheless, reach out. Just listen to people, you know? I can't tell you how many times in a day I think to myself, I don't know what I'm doing. You guys are doing something I never did. I didn't go to school for this. I have no background in mental health, physical health, addiction. I'm literally just a lady. I don't have any background other than myself. And an understanding that actually listening to someone can make a difference. I think at first it didn't really hit me. Maybe around person 50, it got to be a little more real. But now I realize that I have become this safe space for people that I know someday I'll meet. They just don't know about me yet. They won't stop showing up because I'm not gonna stop being there for them. Someday I hope I get paid, but right now, I don't. I opened up a line of credit and I said, I'm gonna take this for as far as I can get it. I wanna be the change that I wanna see in the world. I wanna be something that makes me proud to go to sleep to say, I tried. Do I win every fight? No, but I go down trying. I mean, I go tooth and nail with Allegheny County on a daily basis. At the state level, I'm currently navigating probably 35 applications for cash, medical assistance, and food stamps. Every level, and even at the federal level right now, we have about 6 guys going for Social Security disability. I'm taking their calls from their adjudicators on their cases. I've sat in appeals, testify with judges. I mean, there isn't anywhere I won't put myself. Allegheny County is huge, right? I can't be everywhere. But one of the other really cool things, if you talk to some of the people that are the first 50 maybe, you ran into them on the street, and you said, man, I just got out of jail about 6 hours ago. I don't know what to do. They're gonna look at you and they're gonna say, you need to go see Aubrey. Or if you said, I just got out of jail, man. I know I'm gonna go stay with my sister, but I've got nothing. I don't know what to do. They're gonna say, why don't you go to Just Harvest and file for food stamps? They can start to walk you through. There are enough handouts, bologna sandwiches, cereal bags, tents. There's enough of that. People need hand-ups. And if you give a hand up, people will share it. I promise you. Even if sometimes it's just bringing them back to the source. I don't have to spend any money in marketing or advertising. The community speaks for itself. Washington County City Mission called me to ask me about homeless services in their own county. It's fucking unreal. I was like, you have to be kidding me. What are you doing? I don't know shit about their programs. But I learned so I could call and I could tell them. And the answer was not ship them to Allegheny County, because I think that's what they were fishing for. Nonetheless, questions. Who wants to know about what I do? And what do you want to know?
Oh no, I'm first. Well, the first question I was going to ask you beforehand was, in your field of work, has it jaded your worldview? But by hearing how you said it, it seems, if anything, it's enriched your view of the world.
Yeah, to a certain degree.
How could you kind of say how it's enriched your view? I mean, do you think it has?
Yeah, I've always been a really open person. I've always been a really free-thinking kind of person. I have a very eclectic background. I think what it has been able to strengthen for me is the belief that there are people like me everywhere. You know, that the public defender's office is messaging me right now because there's a public defender that heard about me from a defendant. And they want to know if I can help their guy. You know, inside the hospital, there are doctors, you know, that I work with that, man, they're real pricks. But they really like what I do. And so we can call up a trauma surgeon from here if we need a consult. I can get you in front of the chair of Center for Liver Disease if we need a consult or a treatment for hepatitis C. You know, so I think it has definitely helped with that. Because as I've done this and I've shown people that I can be just one person and do something, more people are like, I don't mind helping that. And they don't have to get dirty because they know I'll do the grunt work.
Oh, so I was taking notes of what you were saying, because he asked for it. Where is he? Oh.
He's right there.
Oh, there he is.
What's up?
So, when you started your story about your first client who were
The G in PSBG?
Yes, who wanted to sit in the woods and you know, get paid for it, as you put. How did you have all those contacts to begin with to help them? Like, what did you do beforehand, or did you just Google it and figure it out?
I had been on welfare, or county assistance benefits, cash, food stamps, and medical with my oldest, who's now 10. So I knew that was a thing, and I thought, well, medical assistance is the best health insurance money can't buy. He needs that. So I just, you know, knew where to send him to file for it.
Can you tell the story of your hat?
One of the baristas made it, actually, at the Crazy Mocha that doesn't like us.
He told us the story about that.
Yeah, they've actually gone so far as to now close down early so they don't have to serve me coffee. And a private detail of Pittsburgh police are there every Sunday night while I serve care packages because I'm not allowed to serve dinner. It is private property and technically I am trespassing. I am breaking the law. Peacefully. Civil disobedience is good. I think when we think about the idea of wasn't it Fred Rogers who said find the helpers?
Look for the helpers.
Yeah, I mean, like PSBG is really that kind of thing. The baristas at Crazy Mocha, they love me. One of them does my kids' birthday cakes. One of them, I filed her and her ex-wife for food stamps and medical. One makes my hat. She likes me so much, she made a mini version, you know? They're very supportive, it's just their business is not. It is what it is. Anybody else?
I have one, but I can't word it. Like,
Let's talk through it.
most people see people walking up the streets when they're driving, you know, you question yourself, I wonder if they need help, like you said. So what was going through your head that actually made you defer from the average and say, I wish I could help, to
Yeah, so it was. I saw him for 2 years, right? So it's not like I was instantly like, oh, I want to go save him, right?
So like the first time you see them, like most people would just drive past and be like, I wish I could help them and just keep going, but how do you like?
So when I was 18 and I left Fayette County, I went to the Eastern Seaboard and I kind of flopped around on couches kind of thing. And I remember not having a lot of money and fishing cigarettes out of ashtrays. And I saw him just on the side picking up butts. And I thought to myself, I know how bad that fucking sucks. And so for like a solid 8 months, every time I went around him, I just put one cigarette in an empty pack because I used to smoke in my car before I had her. Yeah, so it just kind of went from that. It was just an idea of relatability.
So it went from one gesture to
Yeah. Anybody else?
How do you manage it all with kids?
I have no idea. I'm crazy. I am. I have it on paper. My doctor told me so. I'm bipolar. I'm hypothalamic, so I run at a slightly higher rate. I can function off 4 hours of sleep like no other. I'll probably also die a few years sooner because I do. But yeah, it makes it a little easier for me than the average bear to think 6 things at once.
Benjamin Franklin also ran on 4 hours of sleep, so did Eisenhower. I heard that.
Cool. I'm glad she sleeps. Yes, you. Hi.
I love it.
You?
I don't really have a question. I've been sitting here trying to think of something to ask you. I wrote some notes down, but it was mostly just about the stuff that you were talking about.
I actually have one.
So mine kind of goes with her. Mine was kind of like, does what you do like take like away from like your family, like time from like your family?
Oh yeah.
Is
Totally.
that like hard or?
Yeah. But
Because I feel like you like really like enjoy and like have a passion for what you do. So like, it's like I feel like between the two, it's like.
it is. It is definitely not balanced. For me, when I talked to my family about as it grew, and it's not a fair comparison, but the comparison I made was, if I had this dream of opening a children's clothing store, we wouldn't have any money for an employee, so I'd probably have to run it. I'd be gone a lot. I'd probably have an initial investment of like $15,000 on my first shipment from China in clothing. Right? No,
I mean, yeah.
Right? I gotta renovate a storefront to have it be what I need it to be. Translated into PSBG, I spend a lot of coffee. I didn't spend it all up front. I spend it every month. I have a minivan now. I never thought I'd be that guy. Instead of my little Toyota. I don't know. I think it's been hard for my family. So I have a 10-year-old, twin 4.5-year-olds, and Tyrion.
You said twins.
4.5, yeah, 4.5-year-old twins. Yeah. I think it's hardest on them. My 10-year-old would tell you she doesn't want to do PSBG because she sees that I'm gone in the middle of the night. She sees that there are days where people die, and I talk about that stuff openly with my kids. For me, it's worth it because there is a passion, and I feel incredibly lucky. I haven't spent any money to get where I am, per se. I don't have years' worth of school debt to pay off, so there's a plus. Why not run with it?
Do you feel like not having school is or not having schooling for any of mental illnesses or anything actually helped you so you can get closer to your clients, kind of, to kind of get more personal with them and not have like this like a looming sense of like you're up here and they're down there.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny though, people use the words that they know, and half the people that work with me will tell you I'm their case manager, their service coordinator, community liaison, whatever name an organization worked with them in the past might have. They're gonna use that for me. No matter how much I say I'm just your advocate. Like, it's the biggest just in the world. I am just an advocate. I am just a lady. Just a lady that tells people what to do a lot and makes sure that they do their job.
Where do you get like meals and the care packages?
I cook them. Every Sunday I cook dinner. Yep. Peak of summer, we see upwards of about 50 people. Yesterday I think we did 26. I went from serving dinner to care packages. Serving dinner, I threw up a table. I had 2 Schaefers of food. I usually made 2 very distinct dishes. Now, unfortunately, there is no option. I just automatically pack everything in to-go containers and also hand out socks. So, it's a care package. That's how I got around. I think I have time for one more. Anybody?
What is your biggest challenge in 2019?
Staff. I think that's probably the biggest thing, because for me, I don't need the person that wants to do good by helping the homeless. Go donate your time to a church, make some bologna sandwiches. I need the persons who want to be a voice for change without having to demand anything. I mean, Allegheny County, up until about 5 months ago, did not have a male-female shelter bed. So a childless couple in Allegheny County could not appear and get a shelter bed. But now there is one. I identified a couple. She was special needs. She could not tell you anything about herself in terms of her social security number. She could only give her date of birth with prompting of month, date, year. She couldn't give you a phone number to contact a parent, and they had been living in an abandoned house for about 2 years. The community knew that she was there, but no one wanted to speak up because they were afraid that she would be taken from him. They had been together 27 years. So I went to the county and I said, listen, she's in more danger if we separate him from her. No matter what we think about him smoking crack and spending her social security check, she's in danger if we put her in a women's shelter by herself and put him somewhere else. It took about a week, and I was relentless. And they got shelter. You know, I need people who want to do that. I don't need people who have their own mission as to what would be right. I want people who are going to encounter the system, figure out what the barriers are, and figure out how to go with them. Sometimes you walk around them, sometimes you climb over them, sometimes you dig below them. But they can be worked through 99% of the time. All right.
Aubrey, I would like to suggest